welcome to Such Online Academy. This is Ekyochimana team. Today we're just going to do classes and objects in Java. I'm actually doing a course object-oriented programming using Java. So if you are new to this channel and maybe you do not understand how you can actually set up the environment so that you can program in Java, please check this video where I was actually explaining how you can set up the Java JDK, the Eclipse IDE, so that you can set up the environment so that you can start to program in Java. And also I've went on to explain the Java ecosystem, how Java JDK, the JRE, Java runtime environment and everything works. So if you do not understand that, please do consider checking this video again. And also I've done Java variables in this series, because this is the video number 4 that I'll be doing, but I've done Java variables. So if you do not understand what are Java variables, how you can declare them, please consider checking this video again. So today team are just going to focus on classes and objects in Java. And if you want to learn more from this channel, please consider clicking the subscribe button, because we'll be actually doing the videos till the end of this course and other computer science and IT related courses. So team, let's begin. So team, let's just talk about objects in Java. What are objects in Java? So in real world, we've got what you call objects, and these objects we can consider cars, dogs, humans, students. There are a lot of objects in real world, and all these objects, they have got what we call a state and a behavior. For example, a car you've got a state, like it's of red color. Maybe a dog can also have a state, maybe its name, maybe its age, something like that. But also it have got some behavior, like for a dog it can bark, for a car you can start an engine. So there are a lot of behavior these objects can have. So if you are talking about objects in Java, they are much similar to those objects that we have in real world, only that these ones are software based objects. So if you compare the software object with a real world object, they have very similar characteristics. Which similar characteristics? A state and behavior. Software objects also have what we call a state and behavior. You are going to see all these things later, but just know that objects in Java or objects in programming, they also have what we call a state and a behavior. So let's just talk about classes in Java. I'm just going to introduce you to classes so that we can actually understand these objects in Java. How do they work? Where do they come from? So a class is a blueprint from which individual objects are created. So for you to create an object, you need what we call a class. So a class is an abstract description of of objects. So in Java, for you to create an object, you need what we call a class. So a class itself is the blueprint where we can create some objects. For example, here I've got a class called dog. This one, it's a class called dog, and this class, that's where you put some description here. So in Java, if you want to declare class, you just use the class keyword and then you put the name, and the name mostly must start with a capital letter. This one, it's not going to give you an error if you do not put this capital letter, but these are just naming conventions. And then you put the open curly brackets, and then that's where you put the state and behaviors inside this class, and then you close at the end. So here are some of the objects of this class. So we are saying we can have a class dog, and if you look at this, these are different types of dogs. So the object itself, it's now an instance or a copy of a class, just like that. Just to think or thought of it of an object is a special type of a class. So like we can have a bulldog, we can have a German shepherd as an object from the class called dog. So this one is an example which shows how you can declare a class in Java. So don't worry, we are just going to look at this. I'm just going to do a demo on everything here. So this one, there's this public, it's an access modifier, public class. This is the class keyword to declare a class in Java, and then this is the name, and then the open, and then the close curly bracket here, and then within this we put what we call state and behavior within the class. So these are some of the things that we see in a class. So what are these things? Let's just explore. So class contains what we call data definitions, and remember, these data definitions is the one that we call the characteristics of a what, of an object, because they actually describe an object. So classes describe the data held by each of its object. So we are saying for you to have an object you need a class. So the class itself, we held the data which will be actually describing the objects. So which data? So here, for example, this dog have got a name and age. So this data is the one which actually describe the object. So data usually goes first in the class. So before putting anything, we put the data first, and we call it the instance variable. Mostly these are instance variable because they are of instance specific. We are just going to dive deeper later. So also class contains what we call methods. There's what we call methods in Java. If you've done C programming, those that we are referring as functions, those are the ones that we are referring as methods. So it's just the terminology here. So classes contain classes describe the data held by each of its object. Also they contain what we call the methods. So like here we've got this method. So class dog. So this is a class. Don't worry about the public here, because it have got what we call the default access modifier. So you are just going to talk about all these access modifiers later, but there's this class keyword to declare class, and then the class name, and then the open bracket. Here we are leaving the space to put some data there. If you have got some data like the string name, the age, and everything, that's where you put all the data here. And then after that you put what we call a method. So a method in Java is just like a function that we've done in C programming or in other programming languages. So you can put the return type here, it's void, and then back as the name of the function, and then from there you are putting these brackets. If there are parameters you want to pass, some variables you want to pass, you put them inside this, and then the open, and then the closing, and then anything that you want to be done by this method, you put it inside these brackets, and then after that you are out of that method. So that's what you call a method in Java. I'm going to demonstrate this one as well on the IDE where I'll be coding, but mostly I wanted to understand that there's what we call an object and there's what we call in a class. So an object, it will be the instance of a class, and the class itself is the blueprint where the objects are what are created, and also it held the data and the behavior of an object. So from there we have moved on to what we call the data and then the methods. So there's the data and then there's the method. So the data is actually the characteristics of an object, and then the methods, these are the behaviors of an object. Like if you're a student, you know that you want to register, so we can have a register method, so that when you want to register, we just call that method and it does the registration process, just like that. So let's talk about what we call constructors. But before that, maybe before this part, let me just demonstrate on classes. Then from classes, the data itself, and then from the data itself, I'll demonstrate on methods, and then how you can work with that, and then from there I'll just finish on the constructor. So I've actually created this project which is called dog, and this dog project, I've got this main class. This is the main class. In Java, you can have many classes. So the project is allowed to have many classes in Java. You can create as many as you want, but you only have one public class per source code. So you have this public class, and this public class is the main class in your Java program. So you can have 3 classes. You know, you are going to do the inheritance and everything that comes with Java. But for now, we just want to focus on this. So in Java, you can have many classes per source code, but only that the public class or the class with the public keyword must be only one, and is the one which you have the main method. So this main method is where the program starts to execute. So you can have anything that you want, but if you are not going to do anything in here, your project or your code is not going to do anything. So the program execution starts in the main method. So here, this is my class. So if I remove this, you can see that you were left out with this class dog, and then from this class dog, that's where we are going to have this main function or this main method inside this class. So for you can have the name. Let me just say I have the name of the dog, and I just want also the age of the dog. So these are what you call the data members or the data of our class. So you can give them the name of instance variable. So if you do not understand some of these things, team, just check the previous video. We have done the video on variables in Java. So I'm not going to waste much of your time here. So after declaring these variables or these instance variables, what we know is that the dog now have got some characteristics. These are characteristics, or these are the states of what? Of our object, of a dog type. So from there you can actually create some methods, like here void back. We know that a dog can what? A dog can bark, something like this. So this method, this dog is going to bark gym dot out dot print line. Okay, so I'm just going to print woof, like the dog is what? Is barking. So the dog can what? Can bark. Since the dog can bark, we can have a method of a dog being barking. So this is what we call the behavior of a dog. So the class, you've got the state and the behavior. The behavior is that the dog can bark, you see, and then the state, these are the characteristics of that dog. You want to know the name of that dog, you want to know the age of that dog, and you want to know what that dog can do. So this is just the class, which comprises the data members and the member methods, these methods. So from here you can create what you call an object. So the first thing is to have the class, and then from there you can create what you call the object. What are these objects? Now we know that we have got a lot of types of what? Of dog. So we can have a lot of objects of this class dog. So from here, let me just create the dog. Maybe let me just say, maybe this one is the German Shepherd. Then for you to declare an object in Java, you use the new keyword. So I'm just going to say new dog, and then I'll put the empty constructor. We're just going to discuss about this later, but this is how you can declare an object in Java. So for now we've got an object in Java, and then this object is called the German Shepherd, and then from there maybe you can have another dog, but this one now, let me just say this one is the bulldog, and then you also use the new keyword, and it's of dog type, and then you terminate. Sorry about this. So after this we have got two objects type of dog class. So you see that we've got the class and we've got what? The objects. And then these objects, what do they have? They have these characteristics and this behavior. How? Let me just show you that this bulldog, you know that we didn't give it a name, we didn't give it an age. So if you want to give it age, you just say bulldog dot. If you do this, you see there is age here. If you can just click enter, and then now maybe it's actually 10 years old. By doing so, we have actually give this bulldog the age. And this one, the German Shepherd, doesn't have that age either. It have the age as the variable, but what does it have? Maybe it's now a 0 because it have got a default value there. So you can also go on to give this bulldog name. Maybe the name is what? Is a sport. Maybe this one is a sport. This bulldog's called sport. You can give it any name that you want. And then from there, you can actually let this bulldog back. You can let this bulldog back. How can you do so? You can actually use that dot operator, but now you'll be accessing this method, this functionality. So you can also say bulldog dot now what you want to do is to back. You can do backing. So if I run this, it is going to actually call this method and then run this. So we are only going to see this wolf, but the dog which is executing this method is this bulldog, is the bulldog. So if I run this, you see that we've got this wolf here, but the dog which is doing that is the bulldog, not this German Shepherd, because we did nothing with the German Shepherd. So maybe let me just show you what is happening here. Maybe I just want to put the code here so that you can see everything on one screen. So this is what we are talking about, guys. So let me just say here what we have. We've got the bulldog object and the German Shepherd object. So we have got the dog class. So this dog class, you've got the name, the age, as well as these methods. So we have said earlier that a class is a blueprint where objects can be created, and you have seen that we have got this class, and this class is capable of encompassing all the dogs, because we know that all the dogs can bark, right? And we know that all the dogs have got a name, have got an age, so you can create a lot of objects from this one. So we have actually created this German Shepherd. So this is the object that we have, and also we have created this bulldog object. So this is the bulldog object that we have. So from one class you can create as many objects as you want, and these objects, what we have, they always have all these class members that we have here. So this bulldog have got its own name and age, as well as its own back method. This one have got its own back method, as well as its own name and age, just like that. So I think that's all on classes and objects in Java. So let's just get back to constructors. Let's just get the theory around constructors, and then we can come here and try to implement some of these things. But before that, what else? Maybe I can print the name and of the. Before that, let me just say sys out. I'm sure that's the shortcut for this one. Yeah, this is the shortcut that I was looking for. So from here, I just want to say name. Maybe you can use the plus here. Then I'll just say bulldog dot name, and then from there, what else do I need? Maybe I need the age. Maybe I'll just say age, and then I'll say bulldog dot age, just like this. From this we are printing the name and the age of the bulldog object. So if I just run this, you are also going to see this wolf and this wolf as well as the name. So you see that wolf, this is the bulldog object, and then from there we've got the name and the age. So if we try to do this, on the German Shepherd object, you are going to see that you are going to have some default values there. You are going to have some default values. I'm sorry, I don't know what's happened here, what had happened here. I was trying to copy this German Shepherd and just paste it here. Okay, so if I try to print the name and age of the German Shepherd, I'm going to get something here. You see that I've got the name as now and the age as 0. Why? Because we left it with what we call default values. I didn't initialize anything from this one. So the German Shepherd now doesn't have the age, doesn't have the name. So let's just talk about the constructor so that you understand why this is happening. So from here, let's talk about constructors in Java. So what are constructors in Java? So in Java, a constructor is a block of codes similar to the method, and it is called when an instance of the class is created. So whenever you want to create an instance of the class is the object team. So whenever you want to create the object of a class, that's when the constructor is called. So the constructor itself, remember, is a method, just like the back method that we have seen. That's how a constructor will be like. So it's a method, only that it is going to be called whenever the object is being created. New keyword. So it is a special type of method which is used to initialize the objects. So in itself is a special method, which means it have got the special purpose in Java programming environment. So every time an object is created using the new keyword, at least one constructor is called. So when we were creating the dog object, the German Shepherd and the bulldog, there was a constructor which was being called. Only that we didn't know it, but it was there. So what are the rules for creating Java constructors? So there are 3 rules defined for the constructor. The number 1 rule, constructor name must be the same as its class name. So remember, for us we're having the class as dog. So we must have, not we must, but if you want to create a constructor, that constructor must have a name which is called dog. So the constructor will be named dog. A constructor must have no explicit return type. So instead of saying int something, string something, void back or something like that, a constructor doesn't return anything. So you don't need to explicitly define that this constructor is going to return an integer. No. Also, there's the rule number 3, that a Java constructor cannot be abstract, static, final, or synchronized. So you cannot give such things to a constructor in Java. So those are the rules for creating constructors in Java. So types of constructors in Java. What types do we have in Java? So there are 2 types of constructors in Java. One, default constructor. So there's what we call the default constructor, or no argument constructor, which is the one which was being run when we were creating the bulldog object and the shepherd object. And the other one is called the parameterized constructor. So let's explore these 2 types of constructors and then we just demonstrate on them. So default constructor or no argument constructor is a constructor which is called the default constructor. By saying default, it means this constructor actually comes with Java, so it's just a default constructor. So when it doesn't have any it doesn't have any parameter, so it doesn't take any parameter, which means inside its blocks like this one, inside these brackets, it will take nothing there. So a constructor is called default constructor when it doesn't have any parameter. So if it doesn't have any parameter, we call it a default constructor. Example of a default constructor, this is the example of a default constructor. If you look, it have got the name, which is the name of the class, and then inside these brackets, so inside those brackets there's no any argument or parameter. So this is the type of default constructor. So if you look at it, it's just like other methods, only that it doesn't take any parameter, and the name of it is just the same as the class, and it doesn't return anything. So you do not see any void here or any public or what. It's just bike one, which is the same as this one. So what is the purpose of a default constructor? The default constructor is used to provide the default values to the object, like 0, now, etc, depending on the type. So when I tried to print the details or the name and the age of the German Shepherd dog type, you see that we actually got a now and a 0. Why? Because the default constructor was used to initialize those variables. I just declared them and I didn't put the values for that object. So instead of giving something gibberish, but it actually gave us some values like the now and the 0. So those are the default values for those variables. So they were actually initialized by the default constructor. So that's it for the default constructor. So let's just talk about the Java parameterized constructor. A constructor which has a specific number of parameters is called a parameterized constructor. So this, like this one, you see we've got this student for class, and then we've got this student for method, and it is taking 2 parameters. So this is the one which we call parameterized constructor. So the parameterized constructor is used to provide different values to distinct objects. So like the one that we were having, we are just going to use these constructors there. I'm just going to show you how you can use these constructors. So however, you can provide the same values also. So I think that's all on this. Okay, before that, let me just explore on the difference between the constructor and a method. Remember, we said that a constructor and a method, they are just the same thing, only that they differ on some of the things. The constructor is a special method in Java. How special it is, so how does it differ from the normal method that we have in Java? So let's talk about this Java constructor. A constructor is used to initialize the state of any object, but a method is used to expose the behavior of an object. Like the bark method that we have, we called it so that the dog can bark. But for the Java constructor, we just want to initialize the state of an object. So also a constructor must not have a return type. Remember, we said that a constructor cannot have a return type, even void itself, even int, string, or whatever return type. A constructor must not have return type. But the Java method must have a return type. Also, the constructor is invoked implicitly, which means you don't need to invoke the constructor. What you just need to pass the value or just to create the new object, then the constructor will be called by Java. You don't need to explicitly invoke that. But if it is a method, you need to invoke it, like what I've done when I wanted to actually call the back method. So Java compiler provides a default constructor if you don't have any constructor in a class, but the method is not provided by the compiler in any case. It's you who create the method. So the constructor name must be same as the class name, but the method name may or may not be same as the class name. So remember, this one is a rule that the constructor name must always be the same as the class name, just like that. So these are the differences between the constructor and a method. So I'm just going to do a quick demonstration on these things. So let me just give you a quick demonstration on how you can declare constructor. So before declaring constructor, this is the default constructor that we have. So you cannot actually, even without creating that default constructor, Java is going to give you one, which is the default constructor. It's the one which is being called. That's why you see we've got this now and this 0 here. Why? I've actually tried to call this the name and the age of the German Shepherd, but we didn't initialize the values or the age and name for this German Shepherd. So by creating this object, when you create this object using this new keyword, this bracket is where you pass the values to your constructor. So this is empty because we are passing nothing, because we are calling the default constructor, which is the constructor with no arguments, just like that. So if you want to override that, you can also come up with this constructor. Remember, it must have the name, which is the same name with the class. So the class is dog, and then this one will be dog. It doesn't return anything, and then from there it must be a method. So this is a method. So if I run this again, you see that we are going to have this now and 0 here because I did nothing. And remember, this is the default constructor. So if you want to modify it, you can modify it. So I can take this, I can just say this dot name, maybe I can say some default here. I'm not just going, just say some default, and then age, let me just say and remember, this age will be this age and this name will be this name. So this keyword will be only referencing to the object which is running this method. So we are saying if it is the German Shepherd, so this variable will be belonging to the German Shepherd. So this keyword will be referring to the current instance which is running this method. So if I run this again, what are we going to get? You see that instead of getting a now on string, we are saying we are getting some default. We are getting this default. Why? Because I've initialized these variables with some values. So maybe you want your variables to have some initial values. Maybe you say if you forgot to later on put some values in those variables, the values which will be in there will be actually something that you can accept, so you can actually use this. So this one is the type of a default construct. It does take 0 parameters or 0 arguments. So we can have many constructors in Java, but these constructors, they must have different number, or they must have different parameters. So I can have another dog here, but if I try to create the same parameter, I'm going to have an error because I've duplicated this method. So but maybe if I say string name, so that whenever I'm creating this the object, I have to pass the name and age, just like this. So this is the parameterized constructor, and I'm just going to take these two values, and then here I'll just put name, which means the name that I'm going to pass to this constructor is going to be passed here. So that's when we need this keyword, because if I just remove this, it doesn't know this name is this one or this one is this one. So it's like this name, what we have here is the local variable that we are referring to. So there's nothing that we'll be doing here. So that's when the use of this keyword come into place, and then I can put age. So any value that I'll put will come here. So whenever I'm creating, instead of doing this on the bulldog, I can just say during creation of this, I will just pass this. I'll just pass this. I'm just going to remove everything here. So I'm just going to pass this. So if I do this, I'm going to have an error here because there is no constructor which is going to take a string variable. So I've created only this default constructor and this parameterized constructor, which takes two values, a string and an integer. So I have to pass the age here. So I pass the name and the age. So which means now the bulldog, I've created the bulldog with what? With the values, with the name and the age already. So I can do the same on the German Shepherd. So I can have the German Shepherd, maybe it's called, I don't know, maybe it's Shepherd, and then maybe it's 15 years old. So if I run this, you are going to see that instead of getting the default and 0, we are going to have Shepherd and 15 as age, just like this. And we've got this wolf boss, this bulldog is actually barking, just like this. So by doing so, we have actually initialized the variables, the object as variables with some initial values using a constructor. So that's all what you want to know on constructors. So these constructors, there's the default one and the parameterized one. So you can add more here, you can add more, but once you add more here, there will be some errors because you also be required to define another constructor, which will just take two parameters. So that's all on constructors. So I think by doing this, we have reached to the end of our presentation, and I think we can now pop some fireworks. So thank you guys for watching. So guys, if you're interested in this course, please click the subscribe button below, and also waiting for the next video. So soon I'll be coming up with another video guys on this course, so please consider subscribing to this channel, also that we can actually grow on this channel together, and I'll actually be able to keep on producing more videos for you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you.